Grow Great is a city government leadership podcast with Lisa Norris and me, Randy Cantrell. Each week we share insights, experiences, and wisdom to help you and your leadership grow great. Our website is growgreat.com.
We're in the throes of the Workday product, what's called end-to-end testing. For the users that have been following us and the listeners for a while knows that we're in this. But Randy, when you and I were talking ahead of the show, what the point we're in now is what we all face as leaders in our journey, certainly more than once, which is how do you keep a team encouraged through the storm? They're in the throes of it for long periods of time under high stress. It doesn't matter if it's a Workday project, any other project, an implementation, maybe it's an org change, maybe you've lost people and you're just short-staffed. But what's happened recently is we have either change of resources, loss of resources, whether it's us or the implementer, and the managers are coming to us going, the team's under high stress, which we knew. This is one of the hardest parts when you're doing end-to-end testing, because it goes for months, where it's a 6-month period where you're testing every single business process you do in the city, because we implemented 21 different functional areas, which is high. Most entities do 8. And so in this case, one of our managers approached me yesterday, and I told him, I said, man, you are doing a fantastic job with the team. And he goes, yeah, at least it's long hours, but they're killing it, but they're tired. Can you go down tomorrow and give them some kind of cheerleading, just be present and show them? I said, absolutely. I said, do y'all like cupcakes? Because I can know how to make cupcakes. And they're like, we love cupcakes. So I got home last night on a mission, made homemade cupcakes for them, got a big poster, coloring poster that's a wall size that says one day at a time, and got them some markers. Now it seems trivial, but taking it down there tomorrow hopefully can get our deputy city manager over that group as well, just to walk down there with me, and we're just going to kind of give a rah-rah to them. But it makes you think about, how do you do that? That works for this team. That's what I'm going to do. What I didn't ask permission. That's what I thought would give some kindness under stress. Does it solve it for 6 months? No. But my goal is to lift spirits for a minute and bring them out of the crisis so they can keep going one day at a time, as the poster said. And Randy, I don't know about you, but that's the hardest part of leading, because the natural instinct is, if somebody escalates, let's say to their boss, and says, this is too much and too fast, and they want to give them relief. We're at a point in a project, you cannot give relief. Now you can do it moments. You can say, go take a walk, get out of here for lunch for an hour. Guys, we're taking tomorrow off the project, but we can't stop this steam locomotive from moving down the track, because we have September 30th to get to if we want to do it well. If we just want to check a box and have it, half blank, a project, but that's not how we roll. We want this to be excellent. We want the best of the best, but at the end of the day. So that's been our common challenge, is to how do we keep people motivated through the storm for when the storm is really, we're 12 months into the project and have 8 months left to go. It's a long ride.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you've dealt with.
And in 8 months, it just goes live. It doesn't go away.
It doesn't stop.
Yeah.
Then you've got a year in the
continues.
aftermath, right? To train people, and people turn over, and yeah.
Yeah, it's a massive, massive project. For me, it's just about recognition. But again, I kind of harken back to, the instruction that I got 100 years ago when I was in my 20s. People want to know and see where they fit and how they make a difference. And we have to let them know that. We have to let people know that. And I don't think, to your point, I don't think it takes some big grandiose gesture.
Right.
I would liken it to a football game, and a player gets a leg cramp. Okay, they're off the sideline. They're out a play or two, and they're hydrating. Maybe even they sneak an IV or something into the player in that tent. but then they're right back in the game. The game isn't stopped, and you leave the game just for a moment, and
Mhm.
then you're back on the field because we need you. And in your situation, that's exactly the situation. So you go down there and you have a 10 or 15 minute celebration, and you do your thing, which you're good at, and it comes natural to you. It doesn't come natural to a person like me. I have to be real mindful. I'm mindful that people need to be appreciated. I'm just not mindful in doing what you're fixing to do. Carrying the cupcakes down and doing all that. It's just not who I am. I'm just
Right.
not wired that way. You are. The good thing is there are people like you. There, you know, and people like you are needed in those kinds of moments. Now, you got other killer skills for sure, but that's something that you don't have to work at. You don't have to work at. I have to work at that a little more because I'm more mush,
Yeah.
mush, mush.
Well,
You're mush, 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 but it looks and sounds different coming from you than it does from
y-
me.
and I think what's so interesting in leadership is there's no one size fits all. For our listeners, taking cupcakes and doing a poster that somebody that provides a moment of silence or getting out of headspace for a second, that may not work for someone. You're certainly not going to do that in the police department, right? You're certainly not going to do that in the fire department. So, what's
No, and a
interesting
person
about
like me
leading,
walks in with cupcakes, and everybody's going to think he's lost his mind.
right? They're
So
like, we are not hungry.
yeah, well, it's not
We
congruent
want
for.
sausage. We want steak and
Yeah,
potatoes.
yeah,
What is
I
this
agree
crap?
with you. That's where you have to be. You have to be
You have to
you
be
because
mindful.
well, the crowd knows who you are. They know how
Yeah,
you
know your.
roll.
It's the whole tradition of the basic know your audience, right? So
Yeah, because
I
your
think
audience knows you for sure.
right. And it's sometimes the storm, like you said, this may not be what you have strengths in, but you have strengths in recognizing them. You just do it differently. Yours could just be a
Yeah, that's
man,
fair.
guys, good job. When you talked about the many moons ago, you've talked about when you went in the warehouse and you had a clean up. You had them all on board to something that is nobody likes to clean and fix and make it cleaner, but you had it in a way that they wanted to do it. It wasn't really a task. They wanted to do it for you. They wanted to do it for a pride factor. That's what you have to figure out as leadership is how do I get my team on board to accomplish this well, not just accomplish it. How
Yeah,
do
and
you,
not
at
to
the
not
end
to
of the
think
day, they
about
have a
some big
pride
long.
factor?
Yeah, not to think about some big long magnanimous kind of a gesture. I have not found that it requires that. I have found that what you're fixing to do, and we'll report back. It's going to be curious how this goes, but I can already predict how it's going to go, and you can too. It's going to go swimmingly, and they're going to be re-energized, and we can sit here and intellectually think, well, this is stupid. These are
Yeah.
cupcakes, and it's a big poster, and they're going to all go up, and they're going to color some segment of this poster. It's going to take 10 minutes, and they're putting in 10-hour days. How's
And I
that
would not be
possibly going to
surprised.
How's that possibly going to make a difference? But it does.
And I bet in 8 months that poster is going to be mostly done. You
Yeah.
watch. And it's men and women alike. Now, will everybody do it? No. But the ones that want to do it is what, matters. I'm not judging the ones that don't like that activity because you can't always find something for everybody. It's the gesture that counts. It's kindness that counts. We just have to be kind and thoughtful in moments, knowing not everybody will need that method of encouragement and spark. But next time it will be something different. It will be me, I've walked down to a manager before that I knew was struggling on the project, was exhausted. And I went to his office and I said, I don't know if I've told you lately. You're doing a great job. And I know this is hard and you're new, but just keep one day at a time, just keep plugging away. And I just patted him on the back and said, just man, keep it up. And he's like, man, you don't know how much I needed that today. I mean, so it took me 10 seconds, 10
Yeah.
seconds. So you have to just be mindful, not sit back. What I struggle with sometimes in my role, and I could do better on and trying to think about how to do better, is I have crews and teams that are offsite. like under our, we have facilities and fleet. My gap right now is I need to get out to them and be more visible in a
Mhm.
meaningful way. And that's what I've been for myself. You know, you always have to have self-awareness of what do I need to be doing better. It's easy to do it here in City Hall because I can walk it,
Yeah.
but I am not doing in my mind, the best job I could. Now they know I'm appreciative. I send out messages, but it's email. I need to be more present. So that's what I'm working on myself, is getting, going out there. Like they all worked over this. We're in Texas for listeners that aren't here, and we've had ice for the last 4 days where we were shut down. But the police and the fire and my facilities team and my fleet team, they were around the clock. We
Mhm.
put them up in hotels. In years past, they slept on cots in their shop just to be sure the vehicles had the chains on the tires for police so they could get around and help people. And it's those things. I need to go out physically because I wasn't here. I wasn't suffering through it the way that they were. And I love that team because they're like, we wanted to do it. We wanted to keep people safe during the storm. And I'm just so impressed with the team's energy and spirit. And that comes through the leadership of their team. They could have all been grumbling. Some of them may have been, but generally they're like, no, we've gotten them back to shifts. They were in hotels to get here safely. So it's those things that count. But I'm still trying to find better ways to continue to recognize those teams versus what I'm doing like today for the cupcakes. Cupcakes for a bunch of fleet guys probably is not what they are looking for, but they might want a sausage cookout on a Friday that we
Yeah.
can serve them hot dogs and
Right.
bring a smoker in or something like that. So it's just kind of thinking about that and finding ways to improve
Yeah,
and recognize
I
them.
think two things for me is number one, they got to know that you care, and you can't fake that.
Yeah.
So if you haven't put in that work to develop that, you got to do that first, because
Mhm.
everything else just looks like a charade.
Mhm.
And secondly, intention. I think if people know, they know your heart, they know your intention. I don't think you got to get the words right. I don't think you have to get the tactic exactly right.
Mhm.
It may be cupcakes, and for some, they may have preferred cookies. Nobody cares. It's not
Yeah.
about the cupcakes. It's
It's the
about the
gesture.
intention. It's about
Mhm.
the intention behind the cupcakes. It's about the intention behind the poster. So I think if we can get the caring right, and if we can get our intentions correct, and they can see it for what it genuinely is, I think that's the game.
Yeah. And the second part of that is just watching your team and being sure, besides the encouragement they need, it's also pushing them. So many people don't want to push, and you've got to push your team to exceed. They would rather back off and not have the pressure of the team where there could be judgment of the leader. And I've seen that there's almost a fear factor of if I push too hard, I'm going to lose them. But it's a fine balance. You've got to push to get something done well and find ways to engage them where they own the process. Where I see failures is when you are pushing and then you just take it over. That's what we don't want to do. So at the end of the day, push to get it done well and right, and make sure you're checking in. To recognize them, and three, provide encouragement when needed, and be very thoughtful about the audience and what counts.
Before we bail, I got a
Correct.
question. Do do you have members? Have you had members of many teams that want off the team, that wish they were not in this because it is demanding more? Have you experienced that?
We have had it. And what do you think that they did?
I don't know.
They
Tell me.
left. They left because we didn't stop. So most of the time, what we have found is the people that have left during the crisis, there's two reasons. One, they got a better opportunity and you can't fault them for that. It just happened at a not a great time for the city, but I never fault an employee for taking a leap of what is in their goals and in what they're trying to achieve. But two, the ones that can't take the pressure of the team, they just leave. They just get off the bus. And frankly, as a leader over high performing teams, I don't need C performers on my bus. I want B plus working towards A plus, giving everything they've got, because I think there is a need for even the ones that are just technically, when I say B plus, not that they're not high performing, but they are your technicians that want to be a technician for 20 years. That's fine. I don't have to have everybody wanting to move up. I just need strong performers that make the team stronger. Together, we're an A plus high performing. You don't have to have all A pluses, or you'd have chaos.
Yeah.
We'd all be driving going, no, do it my way.
Yeah. Well, but it's interesting because in my experience, I've found the exact same thing. You know, pressure testing a team, nothing does it better than situations like this.
Yeah.
But boy, do the high performers just really, they just eat it up.
Yeah.
It's taxing. It's very taxing for sure. It's not like they want their whole life to live this way. But these people realize that this is a moment in their career, and they're doing something that they probably will not ever have an opportunity to do again.
Yeah.
This is probably a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and the high performers recognize those kinds of moments, just like athletes recognize, you know, this game ain't just another game.
Yeah.
You know, so we're a week away or so from a Super Bowl. I mean, those two teams, it ain't just another football game.
Right.
It's the Super Bowl. It's a different game, and high performers in work situations, I found, recognize it as well.
Well, and we just to give you another example, because it comes at all levels. You know, just this week, they didn't ask. We saw a person. I could just tell on the call they looked tired. They were trying to solve for things, but there are a lot of things on their plate. A lot. I mean, there's a lot falling on their shoulders, and this is an executive level. So even that, they're not under me, but on the project, they're one of our key players. And we called them. It was my project manager who's part-time and me, and we just talked to that individual and said, you know, what's going on? And they're, you know, it's the common, this is so hard. We're tired. The team's tired. I'm trying to keep them engaged. And we really just provided her true leadership guidance. Just, you know, you are going to be so proud of this when you come out on the other end. Just get through the storm. You're going to have to take it, because it was, you know how it is when you have a lot going on. Everything's in your head. So you're just like scattered, and it's bouncing off of each side of your brain and nothing's happening. She was kind of in that space in the moment, and a very effective person. But we said, you know, just one day at a time, mark a list. What do we need to accomplish today? Let's get that thing off your list. And then tomorrow, now what's on the list? It doesn't matter if it's 50 things. You can't do all 50. So let's prioritize them and keep them moving. And talk to her for about a half an hour and just let her express. And I said, what are you feeling? What's most bothersome? And we just kind of walked through those. We didn't tell her how to do it. We listened, asked questions, and she's like, okay, I just feel so much better just talking through it, because I'm not in her circumstances. You and I have talked about this a million times. I am not her. I'm not in her circumstances. I'm not in her role. I'm not with her team. I don't lead them. And she doesn't report to me. But what I can do is listen, ask questions, and hope that provides clarity for the direction she needs to go. And at the end of the day, it lifted her spirits for the day. And that's what counts. And if she needs help tomorrow, I guarantee you she'll call me. And that's what you got to do, is just be present as a leader, listen to your team, provide encouragement, and lift them up when they need it.
Thanks for watching and listening to Grow Great, the City Government Leadership Podcast. Our website is growgreat.com. For Lisa Norris, I'm Randy Cantrell. We hope you'll subscribe to the show, and we hope you'll tell a friend.